happy Tuesday, and welcome into another episode of Great Quarter Gals. I'm Kaylee Nix here with Grace Sharkey and her fabulous blue hair. We're back for a great episode talking all things conferences. Grace, we are officially done with the conference season. This last week has kind of wrapped it up for both of us. I think we're done throughout the rest of the year and the holidays. It's been a really busy one for you and really not a busy one for me, but it all ended in the culmination of F3, which was the best way to end it.
For sure. And it's as one could probably tell from my voice, I much so need a break. But no, it was a good time, and we talked about this on FreightWaves now. It's just a really new, fresh group of people that came, new faces, new companies, new products, and I can't. It's so weird to say this because it's 360 days away, but actually a little bit more than that. I can't wait for next year. It's going to be even more fun to see what crowd we bring next year as well, especially I think with all the hype that came, not only from this one, but from some of the Twitter issues over the last couple of days too, or X issues. I don't know what we're calling it these days, but yeah, it's next year's going to be really cool.
So if last year's Future Freight Festival here in Chattanooga was kind of this like return to normalcy, I want to say, like for us here at FreightWaves, right? It was that step back to the very classic FreightWaves event, the return. That was our first in-person in Chattanooga event since the pandemic. We were supposed to have Freight Tech in 2020 or Freight F3 in 2021 here in town. Didn't happen because we had that surge. It was like the Delta wave or something like that. I don't know. That was 3 years ago now. I can't remember. But bringing back in 2022, it was, like I said, kind of this resurgence, this like revitalization. This year, I want to say it was an energy influx is the way I'm going to call it. And we talked about this yesterday on FreightWaves Now. We did our roundtable with myself and Tony and Anthony talking a little bit about what our favorite parts were and kind of what the general vibe was. And I mentioned that it felt like a place of gratitude for a lot of people. A lot of people were very grateful to be there in person, to be able to have had the budget coming out of Q3 to be able to make it here to Chattanooga. And everyone that was there, everyone was just smiling and thankful and so happy to be there and connect and chat and just have a great time with everybody. And I'm very, very excited to see what the overarching theme for next year is. What did you kind of get out of that? I said gratitude. Anthony kind of said innovation, and Tony kind of said that his was this like regrounding in perspective or a different perspective from the industry about freight tech in general. What was your perspective on that, Grace?
You know what? Just off the head right now, I think we are really on our way, if not fulfilled this last F3, the word festival. I think that's like this big key, right? It's like, this isn't a conference. This isn't a regional meeting that we're getting together and just discussing through. Like, this is a true festival. And I think, I was a big Warped Tour girl back in the day, like the blue hair, whatever. But like, you go to these events and it's like a year of music, right? Or in this case, a year of freight issues and problems and technology and jokes and memes and clever people and serious people, you could say, that come together and just want to have a really good time with people that understand the issues that we've experienced over the past year. So I was thinking about that last night. Like, I think we're really starting to move this towards that term festival. And I think that hopefully we start to see more people come that aren't just, C-level executives, but entry levels and carrier operators and back-end engineers and things like that. Like, I get really excited because I think that if we can continue to fulfill that word festival and make this a great time full of gratitude and celebration, then this is going to be a lot of fun in the future.
That's a really great point, is that fact that F3 isn't necessarily something that is just pertinent to your C-level exec or to your tech vendor who's coming to sell their product. It's pertinent to anybody who has space in the industry and who wants to make those connections and who wants to learn a little bit more about what's going on or get just some broader perspective on the overall vibe of where people are sitting at, the ones that they work with maybe every single day in a fourth or fifth or kind of sixth exponential like touch point, right? Like you might not work with these people directly every day, but you are working with them in some type of capacity. And for a lot of us who have spent the last kind of year and a half to 2 years building out a network very virtually, doing that through LinkedIn, through X, formerly known as Twitter, through now all of these sites that we get together, through a Discord, which is over 800 people now, being able to come together in person really does make a massive difference. You put a name to a face, you put a face to a voice, and you get to understand people a little bit more. And you mentioned again that like kind of alternate attendee. I see, of course, the Please Advise hat that is back behind you. The
Yeah.
Please Advise crew had, I think, like 15 or 16 people there. And like a third of those were actual drivers, were people who are driving their own truck, who utilized the Truck Parking Club parking in Ringgold, shout out to Truck Parking Club, but who that wouldn't necessarily be accessible to them in a generalized, like a typical conference setting. So to see that and to know that we're opening this up to more people than just your suit and tie is really, really impactful to me, I think.
Yeah, like I've been to Matt's a couple times now, and I feel like we're getting close to that energy. But the thing about Matt's, especially for drivers, like you're, and he might go, but Brad Jacobs probably isn't going to Matt's. So it's like here's a perfect situation for them to hear from someone who honestly did an incredible job connecting with the audience, but that they might not always hear from. And that goes to a lot of the speakers that we have. And we just do such a great job, I think, bringing in speakers that are connected to this industry, but also not connected at the same time. And I think it was just really cool, especially that crowd. I know there's a couple people that are even a part of some of the large brokerages that were able to come that are used to seeing their managers go to things like this. So I think for everyone listening out there, brokers, tech companies, etc., like use this as like an incentive. Like, hey, we got 2 tickets. To whoever makes sales goals this year gets to go to the event, and that's what I want people to start kind of treating this as more of like, again, this celebration, this festival for the work that you've done in this past year, and so that we can see another crowd that is important to this industry.
So, Grace, let's talk content-wise, because as always, it's not just to go in and meet these people, but there are some really, really great nuggets of content who came out of this space. And of course, we can focus a little bit on the female aspect of things because it is Great Quarter Gals. We had some really, really powerful lady speakers that were here up on the main stage this last week. Talk to me about some of your favorites who got to grace either the main stage or the FreightWaves TV stage.
Well, one in particular, I will say Liz Ward from Z-Box, I think did a wonderful job with JP and Craig talking about the convoy situation. We also took a cab from the airport together, so we got a nice discussion in before the event even happened. And it was, I think, a very valuable discussion for anyone who's at the event and maybe is questioning the full scope of what Convoy has done for this industry. The more and more that I've read, not just about the carrier experience, but customer experience on different social media sites, on review sites over the past couple weeks, like Convoy really was doing something incredible, which, by the way, if you will see, remember the Convoy hat from F3 ago? From
Yes.
2 F3s ago. Yeah. Still got it. Made its way to a Beyonce concert this year. No, it's but I want people, and I really love that discussion because it was positive, while also, I think focusing on where tech and especially tech valuations can probably do a little bit better in the future. But especially from Liz's experience in this industry and just her discussions and her transparency on conversations she's had with Dan in the past, I really like that. And I think anyone who listened to that chat left there maybe a little bit more optimistic about the footprint that Convoy's left on the industry at the end of the day.
And I really want to give Liz and JP, both major shout outs to this one, because peeling back the magic, the TV magic of the curtain there, the TV magic curtain, whatever you want to call it, is we were running a full about 25 minutes light on content that part in the morning. So, these things run on a schedule. It's pretty tight. People like to keep to their schedule because they set up meetings and lunches and yada, yada, right? We were running about 25 minutes early on that first day. And so Craig comes backstage and he goes, what the heck are we going to do? And he looks at me and he goes, do you want to talk about Convoy? Immediately, no. Me, just absolutely not. Why?
Yeah.
He goes, why? And I said, you know what? Like, I know a lot about the situation. Of course, we sat here and we've talked about it, but it's very intimidating to step up onto an arena that big without the proper preparation time to get a topic underneath your belt, right? And I would call us pretty seasoned professionals. Like we're lightly salted professionals, and so it's what we do. But for him to say we're talking Convoy, we got JP on Slack, and JP said let's pull Liz Ward. She was part of the original group of Convoy, and she immediately, no hesitation, stepped into that role. They went up and did a full 25-minute fireside chat on this topic with zero preparation time. I think they had about
I didn't even realize that.
12 minutes of warning. So for both of them to get up there and to add incredibly intelligent nuggets of wisdom to this conversation and have a very pertinent something that was just off the fly like that, just massive kudos to both of them.
Yeah, I had no idea, and that's how well you covered it up. So that's good.
TV magic, everybody.
Right? Exactly.
So Liz Ward obviously was really great. And let's talk about Amazon Freight and some of their women in leadership, because we all know they secured that #1 spot on the Freight Tech 25. And as they did it, two of their ladies came running backstage and grabbed the Freight Tech 25 award. They were so excited. And they had this like mini party at their booth out, and they were just like cheering and yelling. And it was so great to see. Not only they value, of course, the fact that they're there, but they really value that #1 spot.
You know what? I just want to say, and goes back to something that we talked about too at F3, is well, Craig brought this up on stage, is I've just been like hating on Amazon for so long. Like I've always been the first, like, no, I'm not going to use Amazon Prime. I'm going to go to the local store. Like no. And how this hit me actually was I wanted to get a new skirt for F3. This is funny how this is going. And so I started buying from Amazon Fashion, and I got a skirt, and it was awesome. It fit perfectly. I loved the, like, as a plus size woman, the photo and the images that they used for this, like, the item were perfect, like realistic body types on their website. And I was talking to Haley about this in the bathroom because her pants were from Amazon too. So we're like, wow, this is so crazy. And it shipped so quickly. I was able to clearly have everything ready for F3. And I was able to like deliver it at like a local spot. Like, they've just changed the absolute game when it comes to e-commerce, being a consumer, purchasing things, knowing when it's going to deliver, having so many different options for delivery. I got something for my mother. It didn't deliver on time. Just the return process, like sending out something that as a backup in case something doesn't deliver. Like, they have all of the boxes checked. And I'm sitting there and I'm like watching Craig talk about how, as entities get big, that people just like to hate on them. And I'm like, that's me. I'm just a hater. I'm just being a hater on Amazon Freight for no absolute reason. So here I am today saying, congratulations, Amazon Freight. You deserve the #1 spot. You got the #1 spot. You earned the #1 spot in my heart. This is, maybe this is Amazon blue hair at the end of the day. So, I got an opportunity as well on the radio to interview a Dorcas who actually works in their Amazon Freight partnerships. So working to bring minorities into their carrier network. And I actually have a friend who has built a very successful business off of that partnership program as well, to the point where he now has warehouses and land and has literally gotten talk about generational wealth. Like, his family is set now from where he was when he began. So we can talk about the few negatives that come up here and there, but I'll tell you what, I'm no longer a hater, and I'm all the love at this point right now.
All the love for Amazon Freight. I agree. And Rebecca Salt was up on the main stage. She had a fireside chat. Of course, you have the other Hannah McClellan Richards, who's one of their leaders in the freight
Yes.
space and one of their supply chain leaders as well. So huge congrats to Amazon Freight. And there were a lot of women that were on the main stage this year as well. And Grace, I don't know if you got to be in there for Kendra Tucker. We all know that we both love her. Her in the red power suit, with the Christian Louboutins, the suit, the red bottoms, and her directly squaring off against our founder and CEO, Craig Fuller. We showed this again on FreightWaves TV, or FreightWaves Now yesterday. Check this out, because it's one, it's a pertinent conversation about fraud, but two, it's hilarious, and three, Truck Stop social media team, killing it. Just watch this.
I want to get into the fraud conversation, because I think this is probably top of mind for so many in this industry. Do you believe that DAT has done enough?
What do you think?
That's a safe answer. I don't.
So, of course, I gotta know your thoughts, because I've watched that over and over again, and it still makes me laugh.
Yeah, first of all, to touch on their social media presence right now, I emailed Brent like 2 months ago, and I was like, I don't know who you hired, but you hired someone, and they're doing an excellent job, and they deserve a raise. That right there, everyone, I hope you saw that like clip in the editing. That's how you run a social media account. No, on top of that, don't we all just love Craig? Like, just to go for it. Like, I love that stuff. It's our stage. Why not, right? Go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Go
she
for
answered
it.
it perfectly. And I think it's, you know what? I love that they're not being shy about it, because there's big fraud numbers out there. Like, this is a very, very big problem. I was talking, and we're talking, there's double brokering fraud, there's cyber attack fraud, there's so many different avenues that brokers are having issues with. I was speaking with a brokerage during the event, who, I won't say who it was, but they're telling me of over, I think, right about 1.8 million emails to the company. Over 100,000 of those were like those phishing attempts. So, like, we are just getting hit from all points of our supply chain. And as we become more technologically connected, that cyber attack issue is going to become even bigger. So the fact that we have even the double brokering fraud on top of that, like, way to can I swear on this? I was about to throw the F-bomb out there. Way to go, Truck Stop. Like, take ownership of it. Why not? And I think the competitor out there is probably trying to figure out what to do, because once you make that first move, I mean, there's not much left for you to do but then come out and say something straight up about it. So we're all sitting here waiting at this point. I don't know what's taking so long, but someone's definitely outspoken about it, and I'm happy to see it's our partners at Truck Stop, and especially led by wonderful Kendra as well.
The F word in this case being fraud. That's the F bomb that we're trying to drop here. But my favorite part about that is, of course, that's Craig straight up not shying away from a very hot button topic, a very pertinent issue. And of course, like you said, we saw the value of that in Highway's Freight Tech 25 rating. First year on the Freight Tech 25, they come in at number 7. That is absolute, just a change in perspective for how much the industry truly values this type of freight tech. But more to that point of Craig not shying away from the issue, I'm standing backstage when that happens. I think Christine, I think is her name, who's over PR for Truck Stop. She's sitting there videoing. She turns her head and looks at me and goes, "Did he really just ask that?" And then Craig doubles down on the question, and I'm sitting here and my jaw's on the floor. And we're both like, "He really just asked that." And then she gave the, "What do you think?" And we were like, yes, we love a good PR answer like that. But I mean, more to the point, it is an important conversation. It was great to hear from her, and it was just absolutely incredible to see her take that stage and do such a great job leading her company. My favorite thing about Truck Stop, when we're on this women in leadership tangent, I guess, that we've kind of fallen on, they have 7 people on their executive leadership team, right? 7 of those, that includes their C-suite executives and their executive level management. 5 out of those 7 are women. And that is, Kendra mentioned this in her in the first part of their chat together was she said, if you take a look at our leadership team, you see my fingerprints all over that. And that is absolutely huge because a lot of these women executives, everybody wants and talks about leaving a legacy and their goals for mentorship and development and what they want to do with their life. She's putting those goals into fruition, surrounding herself with strong female leadership. And the proof is quite literally on their about page on truckstop.com.
Yeah, definitely. And that being said, I'm excited to see how these initiatives in particular continue to grow and what they add. I know you brought up a highway as well, right? Who's working on this, and another one of the Freight Tech Top 25 ISO just actually announced their partnership with Highway as well to not only bring that transparency, but bring the benchmarking aspect to it, right? Like, here are these carriers, and here's how they perform, and here's their kind of like ISO kind of credit score based on the industry as a whole. And I think I'm really excited to see how like our logistics providers and shippers out there start to now utilize these tools that Truck Stop and Highway and others are putting together to end a lot of this stuff.
So, Grace, we've touched on this year a whole bunch. Let's go ahead and flash forward to next year because Craig Fuller has thrown down the gauntlet, I would almost say. And we talked a little bit about kind of those alternative groups that are coming to F3 and making this accessible to everyone. He has now, you can see it in his tweet, anyone that posts a freight meme every day on X for the next year, so this was on the 9th, this was the last day of F3, gets free admission to F3 next year. And when I say throwing down the gauntlet, he did this and every single freight creator was like, bet. F3 memes is trending on Twitter right now. Truck drivers are trending on Twitter right now. And one, they're absolutely hilarious. But two, this is just another ability that Craig opens up to another avenue of potential people to get into the industry. We've got another tweet here that he put up as well that shows the value that creators are really adding to this industry. Serious logistics people, that's an inside joke. Go check out X if you don't understand it. But we are going to launch the first ever freight creator contest next year. Over 100K in cash prizes. And I think this is absolutely incredible to see the value that he places not just on the community as a whole, but knowing the fact that we're a media site who survives because we have the strength in numbers and because we support and raise the other folks in the industry.
That's actually kind of what I was going to say is you could look at other content creators technically as competition, right? For what we do every day. But I think it's the total opposite. I think for me personally, a lot of those creators out there that aren't tied directly to FreightWaves help push me and help me learn more interesting topics to touch on and are always, incredible guests for our shows and build our audience into even bigger than it is. I think one of my favorite examples of this and now part of our team is cents per mile. I was so happy to see that they're part of this. I mean, that's going to be a whole other trucking audience that I don't think have captured. And I think that's what likely is the payoff of this is that not only are we going to see a whole different group of audience members, but we're going to see over the next year, a whole different type of content creation going, keep really those out there making content on their toes. And on top of that, like, I can't imagine what wonderful guests we'll see throughout this experience, what type of content we can create at the event next year. I think that's like really what got me thinking about the whole festival thing. It's like that's what this feels like. It's like just a bunch of really fun creators coming together and saying, like, this is a really great industry to learn about, to talk about, and to have fun in at the same time. And listen, if there's anything that we learned from Brad Jacobs and a lot of other people out there, is this industry is just going to keep getting bigger, right? We're in a cycle now, a down cycle, but it's going to come back around, and we're going to need new people and new faces and new engineers and clearly more women in this space, but different types of roles that come with the technology advances that we're looking at, whether it's in the truck or in the office. So hey, this is we're just trying to bring more people into this industry, and this is the funnest way to do it, I think.
Let's see. I learned 3 big things from F3. Number 1, shout out to Justin Martin. He would love to hear me say this. Always be posting. I have now officially posted something on X/Twitter for 8 days in a row. That's the longest streak I've had, I think, in a very, very long
Yay!
time. So look at me becoming a freight creator, right? And then from
Yeah.
Alex Mai, from Mother Trucker, who of course sat and did his chat with Tim Dooner and with Craig Fuller. And that is, there is so much to talk about in this space. So just do it. Don't even hesitate about it. People will listen if you post it. So, Grace, I love this conversation. Thank you again for doing this show with me. It came to fruition with us like almost 2 years ago now. Where else can the people get you coming up this week?
Well, I'll be on the radio, of course, so excited for that. Filming stuff for our next summit, our domestic supply chain summit, coming up in a few weeks in December as well. So you can check that out. You can check out my link tree, which will get you to all of our good content. The stock out, just forgot that happened on Monday. So yeah, find me on our YouTube page. Go to our YouTube page and like and subscribe. That's what we need you to do.
Absolutely do that. And we will see you guys next week for another episode of Great Quarter Gals. Have a great week, y'all.
1, 2,